Welcome back, Blue Raider Nation, for a season preview, but this time soccer edition. And we have head coach Aston Rhoden here with us. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. This is your 24th year as a Blue Raider. First off, incredible. But second of all, how has the past over two decades been in the blue and white for you?
It's just been a journey, and every year feels like a totally well, actually, every year is a totally different year because you have a totally different team. And I think that's one of the things that is exciting for me is just constant change and challenge, and it doesn't make it seem like it's been 24.
It flies by.
Yeah, it does.
Speaking of change, you were telling me earlier before we hopped on here that instead of having certain standards for your team, you've kind of transitioned into certain processes. Can you share more about what has kind of been different for you?
We do have standards of behavior. I mean, just things that are expected and things that are also non-negotiable within our program. However, we kind of take our core values and we build them into many processes. So processes on how we live, how we compete, how we train, how we communicate. And those are the processes that drives those standards and drives those behaviors.
And looking at your roster, you have a pretty split roster when it comes to, young players coming into your program up to veterans. You have, what I'm reading, 11 freshmen and then 12 seniors and grad students. So how's that dynamic on the field, and how does that really work on the pitch?
So far, it's actually been very good. And I think I do give credit not just to the older and the returning players, but also to the processes that we have in place. And that's one of the reasons why we have them. So basically, our core values surrounds Compass. We chose Compass as a program because it gives us direction, as to where we want to go. But it also embodies the C's for compassion, which everyone here has to have in terms of being in our program. The O's for optimism, which we're always optimistic about the results that we want. The M is for our mindset because our attitude does determine our behavior, which determines our actions, which drives our culture. The P is for purpose. The A is for accountability. The first S is for service, and if anybody's been around our team, our team embodies that to a T. Mm-hmm. And of course, the last S is for success. So we take all of those and we put them into this process that, like I said, drives our behavior, which also drives our standards, so as to speak. But instead of just having a list of do's and don'ts, we're all more about how do we want to represent ourselves and how do we want to live. And so I think that has been a big piece of it because it's easy for our returning players in the mentorship piece of what they do to embody that, and quickly our new players have something to latch onto that's not driven by somebody's opinion or their emotion, but it's driven by the principles that the program embodies.
Mm-hmm. And diving deeper into your roster and really looking at it, you also have 12 international players as well. You bring certain elements, you're a Jamaican native, but how do you think that each one of those girls from different countries from across the world, how do they bring a lot of versatility to your team?
Well, I mean, they all bring a different cultural experience. Mm-hmm. And I think in our sport, it's such an interdependent sport where basically what one does depends on what somebody else does. And so just being able to develop a quicker understanding from an international, which I've always felt like, the international player has so much to learn about this country, and who's going to teach them? It's going to be their domestic teammates. Well, that also strengthens that relationship, which again helps our culture. So I think they bring just a whole different level of perspective for the game, which the way our game is played, the day that you only have your singular in your perspective is the day you start losing, right? And so I think these guys bring totally different ways to look at the game. We can then pull from their strengths and add that to the strengths of our domestic player and play the type of game that is a little bit unpredictable for some people, but at the same time effective.
Last year, you took your team all the way to the CUSA tournament, making it to the semifinals, but you came short. But after that moment, what was something that you really wanted to focus on coming into the 2025-2026 season?
Well, I think, you know, I look at the whole season, and the season starts in July. And, and I think if anybody followed our team last year, we started off pretty slow. We lost some close games. And, by mid-season, closer to the end of the season, we were where we wanted to be. So I think a big thing for us this year was how do we get a better start, to make sure that we're peaking a little bit earlier, but also that we're not too tired. So then it was, how do we get more depth in our team that can allow us to play at a high level for longer periods of time and start better? So a big piece of it was trying to get our fitness right, during the month of July so that we could do things a little bit quicker, faster in the month of August. That will get us a better start in terms of winning games and then getting bigger depth that can help us sustain that throughout the conference. So that was a big challenge for us coming into this season.
With better start, your first game of the season, not preseason, but you're actually in it, is against Belmont on Thursday. What have you been telling your players from the freshmen all the way up to the seniors, the grad students, that they need to really prepare for on that first game of the season?
The same thing we tell them about the last game of the season, which is it is about us and our processes, the way we choose to defend, the way we choose to attack, how we play in transitional moments. So those are the things that we're focusing on. It's the first game of the season, and you don't win the first game of the season because you're playing your best soccer. You either win it because somehow you're fitter than the other team, you work harder than the other team, you out-team the other team, or you're so solid in what you do and how you want to do it that it basically imposes itself on the other team. We're trying to see if we can kind of just tap into all of those things. And, as long as we can grow from this game in the way we want to play, we're going to get a positive result from it, and most importantly, that result is now going to drive us into the next and the next. And it's about, again, getting the good start. So there's not much for us to talk to our team about Belmont. It's the first game. They don't have many games behind their belt. We haven't had a chance to scout them because they haven't played their first game yet. So for us, this game is about just us being able to evaluate really the quality of the work we've done so far.
You are ranked 5th in the CUSA preseason poll. How did you respond to that number whenever you saw that? If you even did, because some coaches,
I guess the best answer is ask me at the end of the season. Preseason polls for me, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to grasp somebody picking a future team when the future hasn't happened, right?
Yeah.
And so, even if we were pick 1 or 14, it honestly doesn't impact what we do. It doesn't change where we want to be. It doesn't change who we think we are. In our program, we try to kind of stay as neutral as we can, So if we have a win, we'll celebrate for 24 hours, but then it's history. If we have a loss, we'll, sob for 24 hours, but then it's history, And so to kind of look so far into the future in terms of a preseason poll, I just think it brings anxiety, and that's unnecessary, at least for our program. So I don't even think none of our kids have actually spoken about it. None of them have said anything about it. we just kind of like, yeah, that's more so for media. That's
Yeah.
not really for us.
Hmm.
And we're just going to do the things that we need to do and let people judge us at the end of the year.
Looking at your schedule more in depth, you have Vandy at home this season. You're on the road to Western, but what is one of maybe a game that you've circled on your schedule? But talking to you, I don't even know if you do have one. You kind of seem like, take a game at a time, but maybe that you've heard the other girls on the team talk about that they're just really ready for a specific game.
I don't think anybody's said anything. I
Okay.
think, I mean, like I said, I mean, you look, you start looking back at the past, you might as well welcome some aspect of depression in your life, right? You kind of look towards the future, you welcome anxiety. So for us, it's just, who are we playing? Well, we're playing Belmont. Let's get ready for Belmont. 24 hours, that's gone. Who are we playing? It's, I don't know. See, Jackson. Do you know? I mean,
That you don't even know because
no,
you're in the
I mean,
moment.
it's not, yeah, because I can't predict, nor can I control anything about those teams in the future. But we could do what we need to do in the present to make sure that we have the future that we want. And that's kind of what we're doing. So for me, there's not a game on the schedule that I'm just looking forward to.
Hmm.
No, I could tell you that at the end of the season, there might be games that on reflection for the season, we say, well, this game may have been a season-changing moment for a positive reason or a negative reason. And we'll use that for education and to figure out where we need to go next or how we need to do it. But I don't think the team as a whole has a game that they're looking for. We tend to just not like the team we're about to play. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like
Normal. That's
yeah,
normal.
we don't really like you, and we'll play you and we'll respect you, and that's about it. Not, but I'm sure there are kids who maybe from here that has some teammates that play at Vandy or they play at Tech or they play at Belmont. So I'm sure they have their personal things that they're looking forward to, but as a group, I honestly don't think our kids can tell you who they play their fourth game.
Hmm.
They might know 2 games, but I don't think they'll even know the fourth game.
Yeah. Last season, you won over Western Kentucky, one of the biggest rivals that we have, 2-0 at home. And you won something specific, I would say special in a sense that you have had and the coach at Western have had maybe in the realm of this whole rivalry for quite a bit of time. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I don't even remember. Has to be about 10 years now that, we, we were out recruiting and felt like basically we were both like, why are we still here? And everybody else is gone. Why are we still here? And I think it may have just been one of these things where it's like Western is not going to outwork us or Middle is not going to outwork us, right? And we kind of both looked at it and go, yeah, we should just have a cup. We should just play to see who stayed at this park, because the park was called Fowler Park. Who stayed at Fowler as the longest. And so then we just decided, let's just have a cup that we play for. And so we have this Fowler Cup that every single time we play Western, it doesn't matter if it's a spring game, it doesn't matter if it's a friendly, it doesn't matter if it's a regular season game, the Fowler Cup is on the line, right? And it travels with the
That's
team
so
that
fun.
wins it. So currently it sits in our locker room. And when we go to Western, we have to take it with us, because if we don't get the result that we want, then that cup is staying in Bowling Green for a year.
Oh, gosh.
And it's really weird because I don't think we've ever tied,
Oh, okay.
and it's either we win or they win. And then, obviously the cup is labeled with the score for the year, and it's a big deal. And, it's a simple cup, but the girls seem to,
It's a symbol.
yeah, the rivalry just continues,
Yeah.
right? So we'll be playing for the Fowler Cup again, and it's the same cup that we've been playing for the last, who knows, 10 years or something like that. You know, so at some point in time, we're going to run out of where to inscribe the score.
You're going to have to get another one.
Yeah.
You're going to have to keep it going.
We're going to have to figure out what we want to do with it and how we want to change it. But I think it's just a good internal rivalry, and people see us celebrate with a cup and they have no idea what's going on.
Now they know, though.
Now Blue Raider Nation know you got to come support us, and as we try to kind of really reclaim the Fowler Cup.
Amazing. I've read that with your stats of over the course of 24 years, you have a lot of advantage when it comes to your home turf. There's a presence about the team, and whenever they step onto the turf here in Murfreesboro, you have a lot of home matches in the beginning of this season. How do you think that is going to continue to impact your game on the field?
Well, the home crowd is so important for us for several reasons. You know, outside of the obvious in terms of those people are there for us, it's also symbolic first because it shows the level of support the community has and the way we try to give back to the community. To have them show up to our games, you know, just makes that relationship so much more special. You know, and there's a lot of kids that are in the stands that know our players by first name. There's a lot of parents that are in the stands that we know by first name. You know, so I think just having that group there, you know, that we've now coined the Blue Army, you know, just having the Blue Army at games and in blue and cheering us on, it just makes the environment so much more special. You know, so we encourage everyone to come out to support us because I think it gives the team a lift. And anybody who's played any sports, when you have fans behind you, you know, that last run that you probably don't want to make, if they push you, you will make it. You know, and that's what we get from our fans, and we appreciate it. We love that they're here, you know, but we want to just fill the stadium. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, a few years back, we were among the top teams in the league averaging in terms of fans, you know, and we want to get back to that. We kind of want to surpass that. And I think we will, you know, this season I think we will. We had a blue-white game recently that, I mean, you know, had a lot of people there supporting us and a lot of kids. So I'm hoping with our home opener on the 17th that the stadium and the community will come out to support us as well. And, you know, and hopefully help push us over that line with, Jackson State, mm-hmm. who we're playing on that day.
Jackson State.
Yeah.
One game at a time. It's okay.
Yeah, one game at a time.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate your time for the season preview of the soccer team. Like he said, home opener against Jackson State this Sunday. Make sure, Blue Army, that you fill the stadium and be loud and proud for our Blue Raiders.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me here.